Well, happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, and you're watching the Dr. Laurie Davis Show. A little extra special feature today. We're doing double feature today, a show at 10 and our regular show at noon with Dr. Amin on finance. And today's going to teach us how to get a really great credit rating, all the things we need to do to expand our credit rating, tips on building that. But for now, my beautiful guest today, Pauline Grouette. Hello, Pauline. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Well, we met a little while ago through social media, and then I found out where you were from, and then I found out you're an author, and I found out you're a coach, and then I found out you're a mom, and I just found out all kinds of things. And I said to Pauline, come on the show and let's promote you. So welcome, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You bet. So where do we want to start? I always like to start with, I don't like to take people back and go the long, big journey. I start with where are we today, as recently as what you just talked about. Where are we today? And then we go back, how we got there. So who is Pauline Grouette? What are you doing today? What fills up your day? Besides the kids, of course, and the grandkids. Over to you. So what are you up to today?
Okay, Laurie, sticking with the true authentic self, because that is who I am. I'm very, very transparent because I feel that's the way to build relationships. So if Absolutely. I can't be authentic with myself, then right. So exactly. Laurie and I, before we started, we were just talking about how many things I do. For me, it's always just come natural. I just do it because I want to do it. People rely on me to do it. I used to think I was expected to do it. And it's been a term that's been toyed with, the fact that I'm ADD. It has not been officially diagnosed yet, though, and I'm one of those people, I didn't want to put a label on myself. And that was huge. And that's what kept me resisting getting an actual diagnosis. So we can start there, Laurie.
All right. So for our viewers, because some of our viewers may not know what that means, but it's an acronym for attention deficit disorder. And, I think when, generally speaking, I'll just speak from what I know from my background, when I had a student that was all over the place, I just naturally assumed they were gifted, and they were, and they are, and you are. So I'd rather go with that analogy, but to be diagnosed and to recognize that is a good thing, because then you'll be able to shift and correct and change your direction based on that. Am I correct about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because as you've discovered, all of these different things that I've been doing, I just kept attributing it to trying to find myself. And then I got that aha moment where one huge part of the puzzle was that diagnosis.
Yeah.
And there's so many things in my past that we could discuss if you want to, but getting to where I want to go from where I am right now. Part of the reason why I'm deciding to get the diagnosis is because I'll be speaking to a group of people. My brain is going off. Even though I've memorized my speech, I know my story, I know everything I'm speaking about. My mind is in 10 different places. And it's not because I'm not excited about being wherever I am, just like this interview, but it's just the way my mind works. And I have tried mindfulness techniques. I'm a Reiki master. I'm a mindfulness student. I do CBT. There's so many things that I do to stay grounded.
Right.
And I thought that was enough, but it wasn't.
Or it isn't, you're discovering.
Or it isn't. Thank you. Yes,
right.
It isn't.
So let me ask that question. Why don't you think it's enough? What you've accomplished a lot. So we're going to get into that. But why is that still not enough, do you think?
I'm going to be a little silly here. I want to change the world in my own little way.
Good luck with that.
And I know I have changed the world in my own
Yes.
little way in some ways, but why can't I do more? And I'm very, very proud of myself. Please don't get me wrong here. I'm very proud of my achievements and what I have done. I also know there's so much more out there that I can help people with.
Yes.
And so they can become the leaders that they are meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really all about empowering others, right? And
Totally.
yeah, we're in the same business, and so let's talk a little bit, because I've just started writing books. You're an author already. So do you have your book handy? We can talk about that.
I brought 4 of them with me.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about my book, though. This is my autobiography.
Okay.
And why I want to focus on this one is because I just finished recording the audiobook for it.
Oh, nice.
Which comes out within the next month. And this is part of my story. I feel like this is the first 50 years and the next are coming. Though, yes, I love it.
Beautiful. And what about your other books? I'm not familiar with those. I knew about the other Pauline, but I didn't know. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Leading with Your Heart and Soul was, you'd think I'd be better at this because with my dental background, I'm good at reversing the mirror image. But Leading with Your Heart and Soul, we just launched through Loney. It's a group where I'm Canadian ambassador with Leaders of All Nations International. Right. And it talks about being that leader and leading with your heart and your soul to help others. I focus on my journey throughout my life and specifically helping children in Africa, where we changed and helped 672 children's mouths. So that's what my chapter is about. Then there is the Woman Influencer. This one, personally, I don't like the cover, but I didn't have a say in it. But this one is about how the littlest things that we say or we do influence people's lives. And for myself as a dental assistant, I would be cleaning people's teeth, and I have totally changed their self-confidence. One story that I have is of a teenage girl who I've done a lot of ortho in my career, which is braces and appliances. And she first arrived, I'll never forget, because I am in the dental field as part of my career, because I never learned how to brush my teeth as a child. Nobody showed me. And so the bullying, the lack of confidence, all of those things came up, not being good enough. And so when I saw my opportunity to help this girl, it moved mountains for her. She gained the confidence at 15 or 16. I can't remember exactly how old she was now, but she went for a job interview. She got the job. She started dating. She started getting other friends. Her whole life changed. So that's what the influencer is about. And it's a collaboration with 24 other women around the world. And then my very, very first project, which really stepped out of my comfort zone, was a collaboration. And I did it as a collaboration because I felt doing a chapter was not putting my whole self out there yet. And so with this one is called Mom Magic. And this is with 17 other people around the world again. And this collaboration is about that work-life balance for mothers. And my chapter in particular is for single mothers, and how some of the trials and tribulations that I went through, but then also the successes in celebrating being a mother and how you can manage that. So that was my very first collaboration. why that one is special for me is because I'm also a vision board facilitator. And I just completed my first vision board after 3 months of what I thought was a vision board. And I should have actually brought that to show you. But my mentor very graciously said, Pauline, I'm so sorry, but that's a collage.
Oh,
It was not a vision board. So I was a little bit offended, but I got past that. And she helped me create my very first vision board after I became a facilitator.
mm-hmm.
Within a day, somebody approached me to be part of this book.
Oh.
And then I remembered as a child, I always wanted to become a writer so I could help other people.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the start of that journey. So it's kind of a
Awesome.
special one for me. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I see my good friend Sylvia Somerville is watching us today. I believe she, this is someone you may want to meet sometime. She's my publisher, and she lives in Niagara Falls, and she's an accomplished author. And when you mentioned Africa, Sylvia has made 15 trips to Africa in her career.
Nice.
She was a
Nice.
photojournalist. Yes. So, yes. And so she's my good friend and working with me on my books right now. So we're just about to launch, as you know, book number 1.
Yes.
We've got about 30 of them on the docket here. So it's going to be fun. And I've wanted to write for years. I just never got to the desk and started, right? So, but once I started, now I love it. I can't wait to get down here at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's my writing time. That's my best time.
Yeah.
Do you have a best time that's good for you to write?
Exactly. Yeah. Like 5 o'clock. I'm up at 5 o'clock, and that's when that's when I journal and I meditate.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but yeah, it's when my best ideas come, there's always the 3 o'clock in the morning time. My mentors are actually from, one of my main mentors from Australia. And she's absolutely amazing. So I make the time and the effort to meet with her on a weekly basis. So Sylvia, I'm very excited to talk to you too later, because with Lonnie, we were thinking of doing another conference in Niagara Falls. So she would be a really good person to connect with.
Yes, yes. Well, she came to Alberta and did a writer's retreat, 2 of them for my colleagues. And she teaches us the 18 ingredients necessary for a bestseller. And I always knew I could write, but I didn't know the components. I named maybe 3 out of 18. So she taught us the 18 components of a bestseller that you need in place. And so she does writers' retreats for not on a regular basis, but for people that are interested in knowing more about writing. So I always give her a plug. Because I was just seeing if I had one of her books here, but because she's also my co-host on Mondays and on my team. Okay. Yeah. So I
look forward to that.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your background, your roots, your culture, your childhood, whatever aspects of that you'd like to share with the audience, because we always the work that we do now, and that's why I like to start with the now, is usually, and when you mentioned the dental work, nobody taught you how to brush your teeth. There's like an emotional root connection to what we do today. Everything's connected. So over to you to share a bit of your story with us, Pauline.
Okay. Now, I'm going to really give you the Coles Notes version, because I could talk about this literally for hours.
I know. That's okay. Coles Notes are great.
So, first of all, I'm of Aboriginal and Parisian descent, specifically Métis. And I'm just going to tie in the dental aspect of my roots, because that formulated my whole life. I sucked my finger. And why that's significant is because it was that security that I was looking for, that I longed for. My paternal father was not in my life, not by choice, but there was a few other reasons. This is why I wrote my autobiography, if you want more details there. And then, so thinking of the history, I think that's very important to point out here, because historically our ancestors, even our parents, our grandparents, have been through the wars, depressions, all of these significant events that have gone on that has formed the world, formed our lives. And they were oftentimes in survival mode, and they did the best with what they knew to keep going forward. So I feel that's really, really important to mention before I keep going with my story, because with the tantric shaman that I was working with, she really helped me not only put those pieces together, she helped me understand even more how vital it is to understand those stories and how they shape who we become. So I did not grow up with that emotional support that I really needed as a child. So I had my finger, I sucked my finger. So the thumb suckers, the hand suckers, it always makes, I have that special place for them in my operatory, because I wonder, okay, what are you going through? And so I really connect with the kids. So for anybody who knows a little bit about orthodontics or braces, when you're sucking your thumb and you're pushing your teeth out, you get a really narrow palate. So I had buck teeth. I grew up, so the bullying, the lack of confidence just grew from me, because people made fun of me, bullied me about my buck teeth. And moving forward, went through the orthodontic program. Lucky for me, I'm very grateful to this day, because I had an absolutely amazing orthodontic assistant who helped me get this beautiful smile. And it just came to me when I became a young adult that being a server, even though I loved working with people, it was not paying the bills. Like, as a young mother of 3, and I was a single mother at the time, I couldn't be working in the restaurants and in the bars late night anymore, because I had my family to take care of. So I went back to school when my children were all under 5, became a dental assistant, lived, breathed, and ate dental assisting, and became the best dental assistant that I could be. I took some extra education to also do ortho, and TMJ work, which is temporomandibular joint, your jaw joint. And I also scale. So now, working just with the kids, the dental office I'm at, I only work with children, which is absolutely wonderful. And so before I retired, I actually just finished officially, after many appliances and night guards, and many people who get headaches or migraines, have grinding their teeth, things like that. That's the kind of stuff that I worked with, that I focused on, and I love, because I could relate to it. This is all part of the lack of that emotional support. It all goes back ancestrally, deep, deep, deep in your being, deep in your soul. And lots of people will band-aid things, and they'll say, okay, yeah, well, I'll just put that appliance on, I'll wear it, I'll do this. But I always wanted more. I was that kid who probably drove my parents crazy. I always needed to know why. I always needed to know how things worked. That was me. So get to the root, get to the band-aid cause, rather than just band-aiding. And that's what I did. So that's my history in a nutshell.
Yes, but then you decided to go beyond the dental work.
Yes.
It's like me, similar. When I was in the cosmetic industry, I could make women feel beautiful on the outside, but they still didn't feel beautiful on the inside.
Yeah.
And I knew that after being there for years. They did feel good for a little while, but then, because I wasn't trained or I didn't understand root causes of anything back then, I just was about being in business and making my living. And so that's what I did after I left teaching. And but it always goes back to those root beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
So the dentistry became a big part of yours. Teaching became mine. And, but then I realized, wow, they feel beautiful, but they still feel like crap. So, so what's going on? And that's kind of where, I jump started my business 32 years ago, but you also realized some things around that too. And then you decided to do some different things. So why don't you share with us some of the different things? You're a vision board facilitator, you're a Reiki master. Anything else?
Well, all four of these books have well, all
Writer.
four yeah. Well, and I love the fact that you said that my thing was dental and your thing was teaching, because I consider myself a teacher, because I'm teaching people how to brush their teeth, which builds their confidence, and all of those things that are so crucial. And it's interesting because ever since we've met months ago, I find, and ever since I've launched my autobiography, I find I'm telling my story more to my patients to encourage them that, you know what, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to brush my teeth. I didn't know what flossing was about. So if I can do it, you can do it. And I used to say, I'm just a small town country girl, but I don't say that anymore, because you're not just. Oh yeah, no. No, you're not just anything. Yeah, no. I quickly stopped doing that. But but all four of the books have become bestsellers, which I'm enthralled about. It's amazing. And I also am a mentor. I'm a one-on-one mentor. I work with clients, whether you are a single mom or with children, single parents. Actually, I shouldn't just say the moms, because I work with dads as well. There are some amazing single dads out there. And I do work in the dental field still. I ended up going back after some really deep work. I was just in Peru last year, and I knew there were still some of those things that were holding me back, and I couldn't get in there. So I went to Peru with my intention of really reconnecting with my inner child on a much deeper level. And boy, did I connect. Life ever since then has skyrocketed, and it's getting better and better every day. And so that's part of who I am. So between the vision board facilitation, so with my clients, I incorporate that into what we do with work, because many times it's really hard to remember what you wanted to do as a child. Many people think, oh yeah, I was a kid. It was a good childhood. We played outside, all of these things that people might have done. But they don't realize deeply what they really wanted to do, similar to how one of mine was writing. And one of the things that I really connected to and remembered was how much I wanted to literally change the world as much as I can while I am gifted enough to be on this planet. So it was really interesting, because my husband and I were talking the other day, and I know that I've accomplished a lot. I know I've done a lot. If I was to die tomorrow, I leave with no regrets. I'm very grateful for everything that I have accomplished, people in my life, what I've done, what I've learned, and what I can share with others. And that's one of the big things in life, I feel. You don't want to leave this planet with those regrets. Then you stay in, getting a little spiritual here, you kind of can stay in that zone where, depending on who you believe in, God, Buddha, heaven, hell, whatever, but it's kind of like a purgatory. And you might have heard a lot of people talking about being a lost soul. Well, wouldn't it be nice to be at peace when you pass and know that you've done as much as you could to the best of your ability?
Absolutely.
Sometimes a little poke in the shoulder by an annoying daughter is a good thing.
Well, that's really what inspired me, to launch this book as number one, 21 Days to Happiness, Joy, and Inner Peace, been on my shelf for 20 years. And I've used it with clients. It was a workbook, now converted to a book. And two things that I'd like to comment on that triggered when you were talking, Pauline. And one is, one of the things that I share with our clients is our gifts emerge between the ages of 7 and 9. So when you think back to when you were 7, grade 2, grade 3, what were you playing? What were you doing? Because that is where our gifts emerge. So in my situation, I had a sister. She wanted to play office. I wanted to play school. And we take turns. If we were playing school, she was the student and I was the teacher. And if we were playing office, I was the secretary and she was the boss. And she is an administrative genius, I will tell you that. Yeah. And I'm a master teacher. I know that. So I get my clients to go back there. What were you doing? Were you strumming on a guitar? Were you playing with guns? What were you doing? Because then often what happens, our gifts and talents get buried because we have to pay the mortgage, we have bills, we've got kids, we've got responsibilities, and our hobbies actually become a sideline. When in fact, our gift, we only come with one or two. Everything else is a talent, and we can learn that. But your gift is innate. It's in your DNA, right? So
absolutely.
So if you have a gift for music, that's how you were supposed to earn your living. That's why we were given a gift. The Creator provided us with a gift that we could use to earn a living, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then the other one, most people look for happiness, joy, and peace outside of themselves. So it's a renovated kitchen, it's a new vehicle, it's another baby, it's a new relationship. But nothing ever soothes the soul because it has to be soothed from the inside.
Right.
And we're not talking about drugs and alcohol.
I never thought of that.
You put that in there. You put that in there. Well, soothe the soul, right?
I never even thought of that. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about your family, because we do a lot of work with parents as well, and families. I'm working with a complete family right now. The mom, the dad, the children. So let's talk about how you've managed to keep all those balls in the air, and a little bit about your family, because it's pretty impressive.
Well, how many of you are watching right now?
Oh, okay. Thousands watching.
I meant of my family.
Oh, your family. Well, you don't have to say anything bad about your family, but just the dynamics. I know.
I'm just teasing. Okay, well, like I said, I never knew my paternal father. So I have my stepdad, my mom, and I have 2 stepsisters. Growing up, they would always be going to, my older sister would go to see her dad. My younger sister would go to see her, or we lived with my stepdad, so that was her father. And so that kind of, I thought as a child, that kind of set the stage for me as, okay, so what is my family going to look like? What my family did look like is I was a single parent of 3. I was able to divorce from my abusive husband.
That's another book.
That was a hard chapter. That was just a little bit of a tidbit here. That was a really, really hard chapter. And I actually did a lot of work before I wrote that chapter. And then I phoned him to just send him love and best wishes and peace. And right from my heart, within 20 seconds. And interesting how the universe just cut that out, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, we are going to be saying this.
Yes, we are.
And within 20 seconds, he flipped everything around, still blaming me for everything, not taking accountability for anything. Mm-hmm. And I just looked at the phone and I was like, I have worked way too hard to do that again. And I said, thank you for my next chapter.
Excellent.
So yeah. So it was a hard one, because when you're writing something like your autobiography, I know we're getting off topic a little bit here.
No, we're
But when
not.
you're writing
There's no
something
off
like
topic. There's no off topic on the Dr. Laurie Davis show. Sorry.
okay. when you're writing your autobiography, at least for me, I went right back into the feels, because
Mm-hmm.
you can have people who are superficial and they can write a million books if they want. But for me, when you're doing something like your autobiography, that's personal. And so unless you allow yourself to go back into that space and remember what was going on, the context, the room, the events, you can really dive into there. And that's why not only writing it, but then now launching my audiobook, there were a few times that I had to stop recording just to collect myself, because it wasn't easy. And so I'm very proud of myself for that audiobook, because it's my own voice and I recorded it. I'm very, very proud of myself for that, because I never in a million years thought that I'd ever be where I am today. Going back to where we were, family. Now, I have my 3 children. They're all grown now. My daughter is 25, and then I have a son who's 26 and another one who's 29. The relationships are all different because they're all on their own journeys. I did get remarried and found after I just got tired of the whole dating scene, I literally surrendered and said, okay, who am I supposed to be with? Am I supposed to be with a man, with a woman, by myself? Tell me, what am I supposed to do? And literally, my current husband came into my life the next day. Mm-hmm. And he, laid all my cards on the table, and he's still here through menopause and everything, the crazy up and downs and everything. He's still here. So he's my knight in shining armor. He's pretty awesome. And I'm very grateful for him every day. And he's really helped. We've created our wonderful home, literally hands-on. We're building this. And it's been absolutely wonderful. And then my youngest son just made me a grandmother.
Wow.
So she's 3 months old, and she's the light of my life. She's awesome. So that's where my family is right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Wowzers. Yeah. So no, we can do anything. People have this idea that they can't do things. And that's why I'm always careful. We'll get back to the ADD thing, the limitations. Because we had a family member who was diagnosed as a high functioning autistic. Okay. And that's when he was little. And he was so smart. His mother asked him to do something one day, and he said, well, I can't do that. I'm autistic. Only to find out that he had been misdiagnosed. Mm. And as a teenager, he was still believing that about himself, And but we knew he knew the difference, and that's why it's very. I'll be interested in how the outcome of your diagnosis, because it could very well come back that you're not. Mm-hmm. And then what will you do? Then what? Mm-hmm. How does that change the trajectory of your life? Because if you get diagnosed, you're going to make changes, and if you are not, you will still make changes. So either way, you win.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? And that's really interesting, because I've already made changes. I've been adapting, and through the challenges and events through my whole life. And that's why I've done what I've done, to keep trying to stay grounded and mm-hmm. trying to, do everything that I'm doing. There was, in this book called Driven to Distraction, there was a point in it where there was 19 personality traits describing and they said if you had 15, you're like, you can consider yourself diagnosed ADD. Well, I had 17.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty confident. And my younger son has been, like the one who just made me a grandmother. He was diagnosed ADHD when he was a young boy, when he was in grade 1. So working with him and knowing stories about my paternal dad and my grandfather and other members of my family, yeah, it's been really interesting. And then a little bit of a tangent here, but maybe not. The funny thing is, one of my girlfriends said to me when I had mentioned to her, oh, well, I think I'm going to get assessed because it's like a puzzle piece. It just is, for me, it's almost like closure. And she's like, well, who isn't ADD nowadays? And so I've been kind of thinking about that, thinking, yeah, but now we can take that into a whole new conversation about multitasking and single tasking and the mindfulness that goes into that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did a whole excerpt on that when I was in my coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the best multitasker on this earth. I can do 5 things at once. But then you realize, while doing those 5 things, are you doing them to the best of your ability? Another thing was that I didn't want to slow down, part of me, because I needed to get these things done, especially as a single parent. I need to get these things done. And for this child, well, this for hockey, for football, for whatever. I didn't have time to slow down. Slowing down actually caused me anxiety because I wasn't going to get all of these things done, all these demands that were placed on me. So once my children are all grown and they moved out of the house, I thought, this is my time now. And this is where I allowed myself. I literally left my dental career. I went into coaching full-time. COVID aided me to do this, or encouraged me to do this, I should say. I just went, I talked to Robin, my husband, and he was very supportive. Without him, I don't know if I would have gone that route. And my mother-in-law said, well, if you're not going to do it, she just would always say, well, just do it. What's stopping you? And something my mom would not have told me. And so when she said that to me, I just thought, wow, she thinks I can do it. Robin thinks I can do it. Why am I not doing it? And I did it.
Well, chapter 2 in my book is called Slowing Down.
Yeah.
We cannot smell the roses if we're running by them at breakneck speed.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's about letting go of the outcomes and the expectations and knowing,
wonderful.
Giving myself permission to just be.
Yeah. Yes.
And yes. I agree with your girlfriend who isn't. And I would say social media has a lot to contribute to that. The scrolling, we can't scroll enough because we might think we're going to miss something so the world we live in right now is actually producing it. It's a breeding ground.
Yeah.
I agree with her 100%.
Me too.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because the first labels like that were starting to come into play in education in the early 80s. And the reason I left my career is because I was not willing to administer medication to children who were hyperactive or overactive or whatever they described it as, because they were giving us doses of Ritalin to feed the kids.
Yeah.
And I refused to do that. And I'm now working with a client who's in his late 30s, who's the product of that. And it was very damaging.
Well, my son, I tried everything possible. This is part of actually what my new book, my new collaboration that's actually just coming out in March. It's called Mindful Her. And my chapter is called A Whisper from the Universe. And part of that is, like, my son, I felt like I was backed in a corner. I felt like I had no choice. As a parent, I didn't want him on medication. I wanted him to be him. This is him. He has lots of energy. So let's adapt. Let's figure out how to teach him. And so what would happen is the teachers, and I know they were doing the best with what they could. To be quite honest, the principal was encouraged to leave. They would let my son, they would evacuate the classrooms, tell them it was recess time, except for my son. They literally let him go to town in the classroom. He dismantled the clocks, the computers, like the hard drive, took everything out, dismantled everything. And he would just go to town. And so the kids ended up being scared of him.
Mm-hmm.
And it just breaks my heart knowing that how it might have affected him, And so I felt backed into that corner because I was forced to put him on some kind of medication as a single parent with basically no support from their father. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have another choice. I had ended up losing 2 jobs because of all the phone calls that I had to go pick him up and everything else. And so I ended up, having to medicate him.
Yeah. And now this particular client that I'm working with, still his parents are alive. They didn't know what to do either.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you listen to the professionals. You think
exactly
right.
And you do it the best you can with what you know at the time.
That's right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've come to understand, I believe that those behaviors, those are veils of trauma. We act and react out of our veils of trauma.
Definitely.
And everything that we get, or what we think we have, or the behaviors that we've embraced, they're all a way that we chose to stay safe.
Exactly.
So it's not really about having a particular disorder. I'm working with veterans right now, and they're really, really adamant about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. They said it's not a disorder, but it makes you feel like there's something wrong with you.
Exactly.
We already feel like we already have enough of that going on. So they've changed that to post-traumatic stress injury. It's an injury based on their experience overseas or during war or whatever. And another veteran friend of mine called it PTSG, post-traumatic stress growth.
Ooh, I like that one better.
I
like
love
that. Yeah, I
Isn't
like that one better. Yep, I love that.
Right?
Actually, I really like that one. Yeah.
Because anything that causes us to feel dysfunctional or only adds to the recipe of not ever feeling good enough.
Right.
Nothing was ever good enough. And we were programmed with that. We were never good enough. We'd make our beds and come home, they'd be made differently because they weren't made good enough. Right?
Yeah. See, I never had that problem. We never had to do any of it. We had very loose structure if there was any at all.
Yeah, exactly. So, why would you know how to do that? Because if that wasn't your learning environment, you wouldn't really know how to do that.
Exactly.
So that's just passing the buck, so to speak, right? Because we can only live what we learned.
Exactly. Absolutely. And it's funny that you say that we can only live what we learn, because innately, I always knew that things had to be better than what was presented to me. I just always knew that somehow. And instinctively, I taught myself to be resourceful. I knew by watching other people. So when we actually lived in the city at first, up until I was 10 years old, we moved to the country. And I would watch other kids in my class, the teachers, what other families looked like. And I would try to instill those things in my family, but it never worked because I was just a kid. And what did I know? But lots of those things that I learned, I picked and chose what I thought was good qualities, things that I wanted to adopt. And I brought them into rearing my children to the best that I knew how.
Exactly.
And I just find it remarkable, though, how somehow I knew.
Right. Well, that was your intuition.
Exactly. The whisper from the universe.
That's right. And a lot of, when we're children, we're highly intuitive, and it gets dispelled or dismissed or not acknowledged, or there's something wrong with us. Exactly. It's always about convincing us there's something wrong with us.
Yeah.
So, that's the self-worth. That's the not feeling valuable, not feeling good enough. And it prevails, regardless of our backgrounds, believe it or not. I know lots of really famous people who have no self-worth.
Oh, I don't know that many famous people, but I've heard.
Well, you don't even have to know them. You can just watch the way they behave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or how they talk, or what they do to try to get the approval, or, it's for sure. They have deep rooted needs to be approved of.
And that's the thing, is that, they're so deep, though, that fear holds them back.
Mm-hmm.
And so holding that safe space for them, that's what I know we're similar this way, where holding that safe space for our clients, being able to allow them to express themselves and just be, so some of those doors start to open.
That's right.
And some of those feelings, I'm not going to guarantee they're not hard, and you're going to be challenged.
Absolutely.
But this is part of growth.
Yeah. And actually, this is why people like to be on my show, because they say, that was so easy. That was so fun. That was so safe. Right. Yeah. And I've been on shows, I'm pretty experienced, but I've been on a lot of shows as the guest that I didn't feel safe.
Yeah. I can resonate with that one. Me too.
Where I might be judged. And is that not our big fear? Fear of being judged. Let's talk about that, because I know you know a lot about that.
Yep, it's the biggest one. I've done a lot of positive intelligence courses. Sorry, the ADD just kicked in.
That's okay. Well, I'll help you out there. This is how ADHD I was. All right, I never would be diagnosed, but that's your personal choice, because I didn't want to know. It's like you don't want to know you have cancer. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. No, you're right.
Back in the day, if you were coming to dinner, it would take me like 3 weeks to get ready for you. I would have changed the tablecloth 6 times, changed the china, changed the menu. I did all that. And I realized it was not about being ADHD. It was out of a fear of being judged.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Absolutely. 100%. I'm glad you
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
I'm glad you picked up on that.
Because then that creates my next moves, my next steps.
Exactly.
So tell us about what's it like being a grandmother? How is that different than being a mother? Let's talk to our audience about that. How is being a grandmother different than being a mother?
She's still really little. So
so
mom kind of keeps her like more at home, because there's so many viruses and everything going around. I know. And the last thing I want, is for any of them to get sick. So I just kind of give them their space, and I go do my visits. And but it's awesome, because you can go back and shop, and we'll get to. She's only 2 months old, so we'll get to the day where we can have our visits and our outings and all of those things.
Yeah.
Right now she's busy growing.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. When I first heard they were pregnant, I was like, okay, that's awesome. Great. I'm gonna be there. Right. Like I was told, you made your bed, now lie in it. Yeah, no, I'm there. No. You need me, I'm there.
Right.
And so being a grandmother, no, it's exciting. It's exciting. And it's actually really, really warming to see how with the steps that I've taken, how my mom has evolved.
Oh, wow.
And oh yeah, as a great grandmother, how she's evolved. And have you ever heard the song by Scott Hellman,
No.
The Ripple Effect?
No.
And
well, I may have not know what it was.
Right. But it just talks about the ripple effect and how it's not about you or me. It's about who we are now and creating those new relationships.
Right.
That's what it's about. And so being part of that ripple effect and taking those really difficult steps that I took, even though I knew that writing my autobiography, becoming a coach, all these things that I did, some family members would not understand. They might not be happy. All of these things were coming up. I lost a lot of those relationships.
Yes, me too.
But I've also mended, as many that are willing to be part of my life. And my mom is a significant part of that. Mm-hmm. And if she's watching, I love her, for everything she's ever done for me. And that's why I say with the deepest respect that she did what she knew at the time with what she was given.
That's right.
And so seeing her in that great grandmother role it's really cute.
I bet.
And I don't even see myself as a grandmother. I just see myself as like, oh yeah, so I'm still going to help you. I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't really think of it as a role. I just kind of, but she's marvelous. I love when we get to that phase where we can do more with her. And I know my husband's creating a play structure and everything for the yard already. So
cute, so cute. Yeah. Well, for many of us, for me, my mom was young when she had me. So, if things got a little tough, it was my grandmother that came to the rescue. And actually, I'm named after her. Her name's Laurie. And my mom's still alive, so we still get to talk every other day and reminisce. And for sure.
Nice.
So it's that's the beauty of having your children young. You have them for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And I had both of my parents till I was 67.
Wow.
And that was remarkable, remarkable. And maybe as dysfunctional as it was or whenever, it's like you said, they did the best they could with the information they had. And if anything, maybe they showed us what not to do.
You know what? That's
right?
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. They showed me exactly, who or what I didn't want to do or be like. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, you know what? We've got about 2 or 3 minutes left. That's how fast this hour goes. This hour has 55 minutes.
Yeah.
So where is the best place to get your books?
You know what? They are on Amazon. They are on my website, Guided Journey Coaching. Okay. I am in the process of creating a new website, PaulineGrouette.com. And all of my socials are actually changing as well. So that like Facebook will be Guided Journey. And that's where they can get them. So either on my website or Amazon. I know they're in the stores. I was in Chapters or Indigo, Walmart's. They're all over the place.
Great. All right. Yeah. Excellent. Well, Pauline, it's been a pleasure. We had to work around our schedules and get you here, but we did it. And this is presently, by the way, to our audience, this is streaming live on my Facebook page right now, Laurie Davis. Also on my YouTube channel, Laurie Davis Show Host. So if you go into YouTube and you search Laurie Davis Show Host, the show is streaming live there right now. And that's where we can go in and share the show. So the only thing we ask, a lot of podcasters and people, when you get on their shows, they charge you money. And I'm going, you know what? No. Because the only thing I ask in return is that you share the show. Because there's something that Pauline might have said today that could change the direction of somebody else's life. And that's the way that we distribute our message, one of the many ways. So share the show if you're watching the show, or if you're going in later on, because a lot of our viewers, Pauline, go in after hours, after work,
Exactly.
and they'll see us there. So I just want to thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule, which is about to slow down, and come and talk to us today. So bye for now. And
thank you so much, Laurie. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, it's been fun. We've smiled a lot.
Yes.
And I may have to come to you for a teeth cleaning. Okay. All right.
Talk to you soon. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.